Welcome to the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. My name is Katie Dodd, and I'm a nutrition entrepreneur. I spent 7 years as a side hustler before diving into entrepreneurship full time. Before making the leap, I was bringing in 6 figures through my side hustle. If I can do it, you can too. This podcast is for dietitians, interns, and students who want to be inspired to start or perfect the side hustle of their dreams. Let's do this. Hello and welcome to the 176th episode of the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. My cat flooded my kitchen. So in today's episode, I'm going to share a little story with you, and then I swear I have a point to what I'm sharing with you all. But if you're on my email list for Dietitian Side Hustle, if you follow me on Instagram at the Katie Dodd, or if you're in the Dietitian Side Hustle Facebook group, you may have seen the story I shared. I pretty much shared the story on all of the different platforms. It might have looked different because sometimes there was little length limits, but I thought I would come on the podcast and share the story with you as well. Now, when I say my cat flooded my kitchen, I mean my cat flooded my kitchen. And I know that sounds so silly because it sounds like my dog ate my homework, but my cat legitimately flooded my kitchen. So let me tell you this story. Now, I feel like my story, it's a bit of chaos, a bit of comedy, and I'm sure someday there's going to be some really good lessons. I feel like I've pulled some lessons from it now, but I know that later on I will have even more lessons to pull from this. And I say comedy because this whole story I'm going to share with you, I've just been laughing through it. I I've been running into a almost a comedy of errors, and I'm like, what are we gonna do? Sometimes life happens, disruption happens, and what do we do when disruption happens? Do we buckle down in defeat? Do we dwell on the bad stuff? Do we throw a pity party? Or do we just roll with the punches and say, you know what, this is ridiculous, but let's keep moving forward. So let me tell you my story. So about a month ago, about a week before Halloween, I woke up and I heard the sound of water running in my kitchen. Now, my cat Marley, he has turned on the kitchen sink before. The handle, he'll just go grab it and pull it on. It's just something he's done periodically, and it's never really been that big of a deal. We'll hear like the water running, we'll go turn it off, and we actually have a big rubber band that we keep on the faucet to keep the faucet closed. Essentially, it's actually one of those little rubber bracelets that kids wear, but it looks like a big rubber band. So we use that to keep it closed so Marley can't turn it on. Now Marley does have a water fountain where water streams out of it, but he's kind of an ornery kitty, and so he likes to cause trouble. I think he really enjoys it when mom freaks out. And so when I'm like, he's like, oh, look at her go. So I really think he enjoys this. I will say I've looked into alternatives for kitchen sinks. So I'm like, is there something out there that cats can't turn on? But kitchen sinks are really just a variety of the same type of faucet, the one that we just kind of pull to turn on. It's not like a bathroom faucet where, you have the little twisty things. So anyways, let me get to the point. All that to say is that we usually have a kind of rubber band to keep it closed so Marley can't turn it on. Now, apparently this night we forgot to put the band back on, and it happens, right? We're human. We can forget. So Marley Dodd, under the cover of night, with us fast asleep, the sneaky little cat went and turned on the water. So I woke up around 5:30 the next morning and I heard the water. And so I rushed in the kitchen to turn off the faucet. I will tell you, I didn't really think anything of it because this has happened before. I'm like, whatever. Marley's being annoying. Hopefully it doesn't increase the water bill. And normally when he does it, it's a slow drizzle. It's not even like that big of a deal. But this day, it was dark still. I didn't have my contacts in. I was just going to turn off the water. And as soon as I stepped in the kitchen, I felt wet and I heard the splash of water. And I immediately knew that this was not normal. Something happened. Turn on the lights and the kitchen is flooded. What happened was, as luck would have it, dishes happened to be sealing the drain on both sides of my sink. So we have a double kind of sided sink, and dishes just happened to cover the seal of both of those drains just perfectly. So that way the water filled the entire sink and was flowing over the sink all night long. I have no idea how long, but it was happening all night long, flooding my kitchen and my hardwood floors. So I did get some towels. I soaked up the water as much as I could with all these towels. And I was trying to get my kids ready for the morning, but I started looking at the floors and I realized like they were already discoloring and they were already warping, like buckled warping, and it was just getting worse and worse. So I had to find my homeowner's insurance, never had to make a claim before. And I was so embarrassed. And I'm like, is this even covered? Because most homeowners insurance says like they don't cover flooding. But apparently, just so you guys know, technically flooding is like an act of nature, right? Like there a bunch of water outside comes in your house and floods your house. This was technically like an overflow of, you can have overflow of an appliance, of a sink, maybe a pipe break, something like that. So technically it was covered, and I'm so, so grateful. But I was so embarrassed when I called and told my homeowner's insurance that my cat flooded my kitchen. And I think maybe they're used to really random stories because they didn't even blink. They didn't even say anything. They're like, okay. And they just focused on sending out a water abatement company. They got to my house, and water abatement people, what they do is they try to dry the water, right? They don't want mold to grow. And so they filled our entire kitchen with 9 industrial sized fans and all these really interesting, it's like, I guess if I were to describe it, it's like a ginormous suction cup on the ground, and then there's a big machine that's like sucking water up through it. And we had 6 of those on the ground. Now, let me tell you, those fans were loud. That was not a soothing fan noise. It was like torture, nails on a chalkboard. And we had to keep them on 24/7 for 5 long days. And my cat, Marley, he hates the vacuum. So he was so upset about the sound of it. And I was just looking at him. I'm like, Marley, you caused this. You can't be mad about this. So after the damage was assessed, they got it dried out. A contractor came in, the water abatement people came back in, and they pretty much said the hardwood floors are not salvageable. We need to tear them all up, and we need to tear up the cabinets that are sitting on the ground because water got under them. Now, the nice contractor let me know that I would likely not have my kitchen until after Christmas. And I will tell you at this point, I'll be lucky if I get my kitchen back before the new year. So it was a process getting the floors dried up, getting insurance to approve removing the floors. So, lots of fun waiting. They did tear up all the floors, they removed all the cabinets. And right now, you guys, my house is chaos. We do have 2 living areas, which is nice. But right now, the people who removed the cabinets, they put everything that was in those cabinets into, we call it our ballroom. It's like a second living room. And so it is just filled up like a hoarder's paradise, full of stuff that was once in drawers. And then outside, we have a little porch in the backyard. And that actually is, it has like the oven, the dishwasher, all of the cabinets, the island, everything is out there. So it is just pure chaos. And to make things even funner, a couple days ago, when they finally finished taking everything out, when they got the sink part out, they actually found some possible microbial growth, which just means they found some mold. And part of it was because even though they dried everything out, they just couldn't get under that area. So now my kitchen, not only is it barren, but there's this big containment area set up with plastic sheeting from, the ceiling down to the floors, and they have another suction machine in there. And so we're currently dealing with more loud noises. It's not as bad as the symphony of fans that we had before, but it is a lot. So, a couple positive things I guess I'll kind of share out of this. Positive homeowners insurance, the fact that I have it and that they're covering it. I do have a deductible, but when I look at the price of the deductible compared to how much this probably costs, like thank goodness for homeowners insurance. And I also learned, and this is really nice because, us dietitians, we care so much about food. And you might be thinking, like, what are you going to do for food, Katie? I was trying to figure that out until I learned my insurance actually pays a stipend for food. So if you can't use your kitchen, they actually give you some extra money. So that is really nice. And I definitely appreciate that. So that is my story. My cat flooded my kitchen. If you do follow me on Instagram at the Katie Dot, I've been periodically sharing stories of it, pictures and updates, and it has been very, very chaotic. And like I said, I know there's some really good lessons in here. And I will just tell you, when I talk about a comedy of errors, this isn't the only thing that's gone crazy for me in the last few months. I've had a series of just kind of random things happen. Like, I got this external hard drive, like the biggest external hard drive that Best Buy had to offer, biggest meaning like it holds the most amount of files. And for 3 months, I was saving everything to the external hard drive instead of my computer. I thought it was safer. And this external hard drive, which costs a lot of money, had amazing reviews. It broke. It broke, and I couldn't get the files. I had someone local look at it. They sent it to someone else local. They sent it to someone at the state level. They sent it to someone at the national level. And they said, it's so funny when I speaking to people, they're like, oh, we haven't seen something like this happen before. And it was broken, and I could not recover my files. And so many files for my business, which you guys know my business is all online, were just gone. Poof, magically gone. So that happened. My TV, I got a new TV in I think end of June. In less than 3 months, that TV broke. And it was this whole process of Best Buy sending people out to look at the TV to tell me, oh, you need a new part. 2 weeks later, someone else comes out, looks at the TV, says, oh, you need a new part. And I'm like, didn't you bring the part to fix? And then they say, oh, wait a minute, you actually have to call someone else. It took me a long time to get this TV and it was quite frustrating. I will say Best Buy made it right in the end. I think they were tired. Like when I kind of shared, like, you guys are giving me the runaround. They did. They just replaced the TV. They didn't make me wait on repairs and got my TV fixed. And actually my son's TV a few months prior broke as well. And that TV was like a year old. And then finally, I do have a new car that I bought a few months ago. And when I turn the wheel, it squeaks. I brought it into the dealership and they're like, you know what? We got to replace a part. And I'm still waiting to hear back from the approval. And then they have to order it. And I'm like, come on, guys, what is going on? So that's a little bit of kind of my behind the scenes story of all the chaos going on in my life. So, a couple of things here that I want to share with you guys. First off, what do you do when disruption happens? Because the truth of the matter is, disruption always happens. Life is never perfect. It is not a straight journey to the top. It is full of ups and downs. So, again, that question is, what do we do when chaos happens? I got derailed by disruption. Minor disruption. My son was coming in the back door. If you watch these on YouTube, you could see my video. Hey guys. And the back door was kind of opening, closing. And I was getting distracted even as I was talking. And then finally I just had to pause it. I'm like, he's not going to go away. Let me I did do a quick pause and let me kind of get back to where I was going with this. I guess really the message that I'm wanting to share with you guys, in addition to just share my crazy little story, was the fact that what do you do when disruption happens? And I mentioned this when we got started. We can give up, right? We can keep going. We can, say, gosh, everything's going wrong. And one thing I will say, I'm so mindful of mindset. And I've been so careful because I know that we see more of what we focus on. And I've been asking myself, am I just focusing on bad things? But I'm like, I don't think I am. I'm a pretty positive person. I think bad things are just kind of happening and that's okay. So when life is crazy, when disruption happens, whether or not it is silly things like what I'm sharing, because in the end, the stuff I'm dealing with is not like end of the world. I mean, you know what? I don't have a kitchen for a few months, but I have electricity. I have running water. I have insurance. My kids are healthy. I'm doing really good. So, you know what? I've got a lot to be grateful for. It's just space, right? But sometimes life happens where things happen in our jobs, they happen in our business, they happen in our relationships. A lot of big, hard things happen in life, right? And this is the one constant in life is that sometimes hard things happen. Life is amazing. Good things happen all the time, but sometimes hard things happen. And what do we do when that does happen? And I think the best thing that we can do when we're going through hard things, whether or not they're comical like mine or they're really big, serious things, which I've also gone through those too, is that we keep going. I keep a journal every day. I kind of it's the Get Time planner and it has some journaling spots. And I would say the message I write to myself more than anything, and I've shared this on the podcast before, if you're a long time listener, but that message is keep going. I tell myself that all the time. Keep going. When things are amazing, it's easy to keep going. When things are hard, it's hard to keep going, right? But we have to understand that even if we're taking small steps, we're moving, right? So we just have to keep going. We have to understand that life happens, ups, downs, positives, negatives, and we really have to focus on what do you want? Like, what do you really want? And are you willing to do what it takes to get there? And that means, of course, during seasons, you have to give yourself grace and, slow down. But I'm getting distracted again. I can see my son opening the door. But I'm not going to stop recording this time because I need to wrap this podcast episode up. So I hope that story was not just comical, but also some takeaways from that of like, you know what? Life happens. Let's keep going. So, a couple other things I want to share before we wrap up. It is getting close to Black Friday if you're listening to this live, and I'm also launching my BAP Accelerator program. So, if you are interested in building a business based in blogging, the doors to the BAP Accelerator are open now through the 27th of November 2023. You can go to katiedodd.com to register, to get enrolled. And Black Friday, I am going to have a blog article that I have yet to write, but it will be written by the time this episode goes live. And, well, probably. It will be live by Black Friday. I promise that. If you go to katiedodd.com, I add all my stuff there. That's my Linktree page. You could see the actual link to the blog article with all of the Black Friday specials that I recommend. I am running a big one. By Beyond the 9 to 5 coaching course, which I talked about a couple episodes ago, I am doing a 90% discount. I'm still re-recording that. It's not completely done yet, but it will be by Black Friday. I am updating this course, and I'm so excited for it. So I'm going to be sharing that specials from other dietitians, other programs out there that might serve you as a dietitian side hustler. So be sure to check that out. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. I hope that you enjoy my imperfect episodes, even when I stumble my words and get distracted. Done is better than perfect, right, guys? So have the very best day. And if you're listening to this live, have the best Thanksgiving. I appreciate each and every one of you. And we'll chat next week on the podcast. Bye, guys.